Welcome back to the R.M.Williams Outback podcast. Great to have you here. This is Terry Cowley. I'm the host of the podcast and also the senior associate editor of R.M.Williams Outback magazine. We're very grateful to Ram Trucks for sponsoring this podcast. Pass through more than 60 pairs of hands that have several hundred years of experience between them. Each Akubra is more than a hat. Outback's art director Peter Pap recently captured the Akubra workshop in action to mark its 50th year in Kempsey, New South Wales. He says that on entering the corrugated iron exterior, the nearly 150-year history of this Aussie icon was apparent. Peter Pap joins me right now to have a chat about his Akubra experience and I'm sure other things. Hello, Peter.
G'day, Terry. How are you?
I'm very well, and thanks for your time today over the airwaves. Now, tell me about your first impressions when you went into this age-old workshop that Akubra has in Kempsey, because I don't believe that you'd experienced anything like that before. Is that right, Peter?
That's right, yes. Well, I was blown away by the old machinery, to be honest. I was hoping it would be something like that, but yeah, it sort of caught me off guard. Seeing the building in Kempsey, it just looked like an old factory unit. It didn't look like anything special. So upon entering it, though, I was quite amazed at how the machinery and the steam and everything else sort of took over. And I thought, wow, this is going to be quite something of a photo shoot.
So you, in the magazine, in your photo essay, you say, I felt like I was on a 1920s sci-fi film set with all the machines, the steam and the noise and the artisans creating something amazing. Now, I mean, you're a person who's worked for R.M.Williams for many years, and I guess you would be familiar with that sort of craftsmanship from working for such a famous boot company. And there are similarities, but I guess there's a lot of differences as well.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, the machinery and the people working the machinery was what took me aback. And nothing was really automated. It was the skill of the individual. Some of the machinery is like 100 years old or older, and they just maintain them. They're so old that you probably cannot get parts for them. And they have a machine room where they can make them on demand and fit them and do all the repairs. And these machines, they do the job. And I don't think you can replace them. And if you do automate it, then you're not going to get the same level of craftsmanship that you do out of these, I think.
No, I guess that's the point. Unique machinery makes a unique product.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. Yeah, it was like you were taken into another world. It almost felt like that. And I mean, that was only part of the factory. The other part was different. But I did do a recce the day before just to get an idea of what I was going to shoot. And I was quite confident I was going to come away with some nice imagery.
You talk about steam and old machines and things like that. Was that a challenging environment to shoot in? Like, I mean, were your lenses getting fogged up, anything like that?
Oh, they were. They were in one section, definitely. But it's pretty much wherever you point the camera, you're going to come out with some magic. And that's what it was like, and trying to get that. And I'd even taken my tripod and I didn't use it. The light was beautiful in there, and even did some videos as well. And they came out quite nice too.
We can't describe them as well as you can see them in the magazine, but we'll do our best here today. Now, your photos show a 6-week manufacturing process in which rabbit fur is cut, washed, rolled, moulded, steamed, shrunk, dyed, dried, brims broken out, sandpapered, sewn, lined, stamped, and handled by deft hands until the crown is dented and shaped into an iconic symbol of Australia. Now, that shaping of the crown is really kind of what is really Akubra's trademark.
That's right. And it's quite an art. I mean, a lot of these people, they've been working in this factory for a long time. So their touch, they know exactly how much to push the limit before, I guess, the thing is out of shape or it's no good. So by doing it many times, they've got that feel. They know they could probably gauge exactly what they're doing. And it takes a long time to train someone as well to get to that level, because the slightest misjudgment and the hat's ruined, and that's throughout the whole process. It's not just one person. It's every person that touches that hat. They could easily make a mistake. And there's a small percentage of mistakes, which you can imagine. But when you look at a factory that has people that are pretty much making everything by hand, it's pretty amazing. Other factories have got automation, but when you have automation, you don't get the kind of product you get here. It's quite different. And I used to think the Akubras are quite expensive hats, but now I know why, because they're quite amazing. A lot goes into that.
Yeah, exactly. You've seen what goes into them. And the new chief executive of Akubra, Natalie Kalina, makes that point in our story. She says that they're objects that people invest in, and the marks and quirks about them that develop over time are stories, I guess, about people's lives. So there may be some similarity in the various kinds of Akubras when you buy them, but I guess your life and your experience makes marks on them to make them unique to you, much in the way of our boots, Peter.
Exactly. You're right. Yeah. And I mean, I've had an Akubra for a long time. When I first started OUTBACK, our editor, Mark Muller, gave me one when I went up to the Kimberley region. And I still had that till last month when I had a bit of a fire in the garage that destroyed it. But and that was an amazing hat. It had a lot of it had a lot of stories behind it, because it went through a lot of journeys with me. And I've recently acquired another hat, and I'm guessing that will go through a lot of stories too.
You got yourself another Akubra?
Yes.
Oh, well done. Yeah, and of course there is that nice connection with R.M.Williams, the history of R.M.Williams and R.M.Williams himself always wearing an Akubra. And now that's all kind of, I guess, come full circle with the owner of R.M.Williams, the Forrest family, buying Akubra recently, which I guess ensures that Akubra stays in Australian hands, which a lot of people are very happy about.
Yeah, I think they are, yes.
It's an interesting history, isn't it, stretching back to 1879 with the establishment of Kensington Hat Mills in Tasmania. So still Australian owned and operated, as we said. Akubra acquired by the Tatarang Group, owners of R.M.Williams, in 2023, so last year, and we did cover that in previous issues of the magazine. And I mentioned Natalie Kalina earlier being appointed in just February 2024, and she's being tasked with shepherding the brand into a new era. That's a tricky one. Again, a lot of similarities with the R.M.Williams brand, where you're really trying to bring it to a new audience, but you don't want to, I guess, change what is at the very heart of a product that has, many of their products, different hats that have been so successful. You want to, I guess, evolve it, but you don't want to change it too much, do you?
No, and look, by looking at all those processes, I don't know whether you can change anything. It'll really alter the product in the end. So you really have to do it the proper way. There's a way of making these, and I think that's it.
One of your photos shows the 100-year-old blowing machine, which produces the carded fibre blanket required for forming a hat. I didn't expect to hear about a blowing machine.
That was an amazing machine. I mean, it was loaded from the back end with the rabbit fur, and then it went through this machine and it blew it. And what it did was it was lopping off the top third and the bottom third of each hair. And then what you see that comes out the end is the middle part. And then it pushed it together much like cotton wool and made it into a blanket. And it was so soft to touch that I could barely feel it on my fingertips. That's how soft it was. And then that moved into another area where it was blown apart again and then whisked around the inside of a drum of a machine that made the wafer-thin hood.
And that's just the very beginning of the process. We go on to talk about the multi-roller machines and proofing the brim of the hat on the beautiful copper proofing machine.
Yeah, that was like something out of a space age movie, that machine with all the copper and everything else.
And then it's the blocking machine that puts the crown shape into an Akubra. A lot of the machines, I know I just keep coming back to R.M.Williams, but I can't help it. A lot of these machines are even called the same thing. We have blocking in the boots workshop, obviously for different reasons. And now there's a blocking machine putting the crown shape into an Akubra. And of course, that's when the hat is starting to take shape and you've got really nice people shots and some real characters in there, some of whom look like they've been in the factory for a really long time.
Oh, they have, yeah. And there's young people, old people. There's a diverse range of ages and backgrounds in here too.
Diversity is always a good thing, and you've got someone using steam to shape and stretch the fabric on the brimming machine.
Yeah, I think steam is your friend in that place. A lot of steam and heat and water, and they're just continually stretching the fibers, and I think that's how they intertwine, and then the hat becomes a little bit thicker, the material, and becomes really strong, and suddenly, it's a very strong material.
Well, they certainly are very durable. You can't kill an Akubra. And you captured one man who'd been in the Akubra workshop for 50 years. That is impressive.
Yeah, he's pretty much trained Anthony Irwin. He's pretty much trained a lot of people in the factory there. So it takes, they don't let them loose on a hat straight away. They take a couple of years before they get that good that they can, work on these things.
And the hats are ironed to get a smooth finish on the crown. I guess that makes sense. There goes that steam again. And you also captured some staff members, some female staff members actually, trimming Australian Defence Force slouch hats. So they're obviously made in that workshop as well.
Yes, they are. Yes, they're beautiful looking hats. And just trimming them, sewing little pieces on them and badges. Quite involved work.
And you then get pictures of them sewing the iconic Akubra band onto the hat. That probably covers a lot of the process, but as I said, you've got to get a hold of the magazine to have a good look at all of this. It's all in issue 154. Now, maybe it's a good opportunity, Peter, to talk a little bit more about what you do, because you don't get to be in the field and cover interesting topics like the Akubra workshop every day, but I'm guessing getting out your camera and getting into that kind of situation is probably one of the most favourite parts of your job. Would I be right?
Oh, you're correct. Yes, I'm lucky enough to get out probably once a year to do a photo shoot, and normally it's with yourself or on assignment doing a track story or travel story or something like that. And I do the driving and the photographing. This one I was alone. I was just sent up to the Akubra factory just to shoot that for a photo essay. So it was quite different from what I normally do, but I really loved it. And it sort of brings a lot of memories back to me too, because when I was young, I used to work in a factory with my father, in an engineering factory that had old machines in it. So it sort of brings back those kind of memories as well too.
So what sort of equipment did you use to capture this photo essay, Peter?
Nikon. We've always used Nikon. This is a new mirrorless Nikon that we've been trialing for the last almost year, and it's phenomenal. And it's got a great lens, and it's a great bit of kit, and it does great video too. So that's pretty much all I used.
For the lay people among us, and I certainly don't by any stretch of the imagination claim to be a photographer myself, can you explain what's the point of a mirrorless camera as opposed to predecessors?
The mirrorless camera now is what you see through the viewfinder is exactly how the exposure will come out, whereas normally before you used to take the photo and then view it on the back of the screen, whereas now you can see it exactly the way it is, take the shot and you've got it. And then it gives you more creative freedom because you can adjust, you can darken a scene, you can play with it. So it allows you to do that and slow your shutter right down, and you can tell straight away whether it's going to be blurry or not.
And looking at a feature like this, I'm just guessing you've got about 8, 16, probably got about 20 or to 25 photos published. How many photos do you reckon you took?
I think I took about 1,400 on a day.
Seriously?
Yeah. And that was mainly, you normally wouldn't, but you don't get this kind of chance often. So when you're there at the Akubra factory, for instance, you want to shoot the whole process. So that's what I did. I wanted to capture from the start to the end. So I overshot it, but now we have a library that we can always access, and we've got photos of people doing pretty much every single process in the whole factory. I mean, I could have filled up 20 pages in here, and it would have still looked great, but you've just got to pick and choose the right ones.
Could have filled up a book by the sound of it.
Oh, yeah. No, there was a lot.
So that must have made the editing process fairly arduous for you.
Terrible. That's the worst part about being an art director. When you get too many photos that are great, it becomes a nightmare. But at the end of the day, you've really got to tell a story. That's what it's all about. And you have only so many pages and photos that you can use. So you've got to try and do the best, which means there's a lot of photos that are really nice that get left out.
Yep. But as you say, hopefully, or perhaps they will have an opportunity to be used in future. Now, I'm guessing, well, I think it would be fair to say that the people working in the Akubra workshop aren't used to having a camera sort of pointed in their direction every day of the week. How did they respond to you being in the workshop?
Oh, they were fantastic. I mean, I ask every single person whether I can take their photograph, and they were fine with that. They were all great.
So nobody refused?
No, I think only one. That was about it.
Fair enough. I guess because they're very candid shots, and you really just want them to be doing what they're doing, don't you? You don't
Exactly.
you don't need to stage it or anything.
No, trying to get them in the moment. And most of the shots that you see with people actually looking at me in that shoot, that was another round where I did another loop of the whole factory and took specific shots of people, posing. But most of them were done as they were working. I was just trying to catch them working.
Did you have to sort of plan your trip carefully in that you wanted to be seeing the whole process? So, did you have to choose a particular day, or is that pretty much a typical day in the Akubra workshop?
That was a typical day. Started at 7 and finished about 3-ish, I think it was.
Okay.
And it meant I did 3 full loops of the factory. So you do one, then you think, oh, what did I miss? Do another loop, and then the last loop.
And then, of course, you're always bearing in mind you want some horizontal, you want some vertical, and then you want some close-ups, you want some not so close-up. You're really going for variety, aren't you?
Yeah, you've got to mix it up, definitely. Yeah, you get the wide shots, the close-ups. Sometimes you've got to frame the person to the side of the shot because it goes through the gutter of the magazine, which is the center of the magazine. So you don't want someone's face in the center of the magazine. So you've got to think about it sometimes of how you're going to take these photographs.
If there's any budding photographers who might want to work for Outback Magazine, contribute their work to Outback Magazine, who might be listening, what sort of tips would you give them? I mean, we just mentioned one in terms of variety. What are the other things that are really top of your mind when you're doing a job like this? I mean, obviously, you need that good equipment. That's a huge part of it, and that might be a challenge for some people, I suppose.
You need the good equipment. You need to be a lot of times shooting on a tripod. You got to use your f-stop properly to get that depth of field. Shoot vertical, horizontal photographs, and have a think about mixing it up a little bit.
Do you think much about colour? Because I guess there would be certain instances where you want kind of a certain sort of feel, and you want some sort of a monotone or similar sort of tones. I mean, I guess you can think about colour, but you want to be real too in portraying what you're seeing, don't you?
Yes, you got to. Yeah, you got to. You can't. That's the one thing that I particularly don't like is when people overjuice photographs. For instance, you want it as natural as possible of what you actually caught.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think it's fair to say that Outback Magazine is we really do try to be real, don't we? I mean, we don't we don't photograph celebrities, we don't stage covers. We try to give a different perspective on something that you might not have seen before, but it's definitely true to life, isn't it?
Yes, you are right.
And we don't mind a bit of grit, a bit of dirt, a bit of reality, do we?
No, you've got to leave that in.
It's part of life. It is part of life. Now, I said earlier that this was only a small part of your job, unfortunately, perhaps for you. People might be interested to know what else an art director does at a magazine like Outback.
Our magazines are bi-monthly, so we've got a 2-month cycle. So initially I paginate the magazine. I work out how long the stories are for Mark, and then I start the process of acquiring the copy from the editors and sifting through the photographs for the story and putting it together. And once all that happens and I've designed the layout, then it goes for approval from Mark and all the other people on the editorial team. With the photographs, I don't do any of the retouching. We have a production assistant that does that. But then we check all those. Then once the layout's approved, you do high-resolution PDFs, which I obviously sent to the printer, and then we print the magazine. So there's quite a bit involved in the process.
And you're often on the presses yourself. Well, you always are actually, aren't you? Normally on the presses yourself, checking that printing.
I am. I'm always on the presses. I've been with Outback for 17 years now, and I don't think I've missed many. Only during COVID we missed a few of the press checks. So what I do is I'm at the printers, and what people don't realise is when you're looking at a page, we have to make sure that the colour matches the proof, because when they print the page, they print it 8 up and then 8 underneath it, so it's 16-page sections. So when you're looking at one page, there's another one directly above that. So you've got to always compromise on which is more important to get the colour perfect, because the other one will suffer. Or if there's an image and it's too warm in the face, you've got to take out a little bit of magenta, because you have 4 colours that we're printing, which is C, M, Y, K. And so I'm always there making sure that all that runs smoothly.
And it invariably doesn't, does it?
No, sometimes there's breakdowns. They're only machines. They break down. They need to be fixed.
Maybe they need some of those machines like they've got at the Akubra workshop, 100 years old.
maybe, but some of them are quite old too, and they do repair them. But they appreciate that we're out there. We're probably one of the very few magazines that press check a whole magazine. Some of the fashion magazines will press check a certain section when there's an exclusive or something like that, or a cover, but we actually press check the whole magazine because we're that fussy. And I love the process. It's like you go through a 2-month period of designing the magazine, and it's the last bit that you want to see at the end.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because I always get the sense, being a colleague of yours, that you really do enjoy. It comes back to that machines again, Peter. You're drawn to machines. Like you mentioned, you grew up working in a factory with your dad. You had a great time at the Akubra workshop, and you get to, I don't know, be around those big, roaring machines at our printers in Sydney every time the magazine goes to press.
I love it. I love being out there, talking to the printers, looking at the whole process. It's just like a kid in a candy shop, basically.
Well, I think the magazine is very lucky to have you out there, because I think the proof's in the pudding. It is a very nice printed product, and, it's shown off very much in this Akubra photo essay that you've got.
Oh, thank you.
And the heading's heartfelt, which is a great heading. It's a bit of a play on words then, of course, because the felt that's in hats. And, of course, everything we do is heartfelt, isn't it, Peter?
Definitely.
All right, well, that probably covers it. I suppose I better let you get back to designing the magazine, the next one.
Thank you, Terry. It's great talking to you.
All right, take care, Peter, and well done on that feature on the Akubra workshop. So if you want to have a look at Peter's work, it's called Heartfelt. It's in issue 154 of Outback magazine. Grab a coffee. You can grab a coffee if you like, and you can sit down with a copy of the magazine. We so appreciate you listening to our podcast. If you like it, please tell your friends about it. I'll talk to you in the next episode. Take care.